anything about who found him, how he was found, or the 911 call or anything like that?
Yes.
Yeah?
And I can't talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here to get to the bottom of it, though, it sounds like.
We pretty much know what's going on, but, you know, all we want to do is just talk about the man, the musician.
What message do you have to the Prince fans?
Just keep saying prayers for everyone, for the family.
There was no sign of this. This is just...
You know, everyone gets sick once in a while. We don't know. We're going to find.
The streets are claiming that Sheila E., the last person Prince confided in, is now telling the world what Prince was attempting to shield us from and why Diddy didn't want him to live to accomplish it.
The party I went to was at Prince's house. So you want to go to Prince's house to the Diddy party where Tyrese is performing and Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher are swinging on swings. That is what's happening on the other side of the wall. And so the one thing that makes this party different than a Jamie Foxx party or any other celebrity party that wrangles a bunch of young women or guys or whatever too, is that Diddy didn't let you bring your security in the party.
The original Diddy P. Here's the deal. Some fans think Prince was prepared to reveal a more sinister side of the entertainment industry, one that goes beyond music rights to include the culture of exploitation, manipulation, and even rituals. And guess what? Diddy's name is being mentioned again in relation to those same discussions. Perhaps it is a coincidence, but Sheila E., who has remained silent for years, is suddenly speaking up, and her remarks are terrifying, according to sources. For some background, Sheila E. first met Prince in 1977 while performing with her father at a concert. She then signed with Warner Brothers Records in early 1984 and started working on her debut solo album, The Glamorous Life, with Prince, on which he co-wrote and played on the hit title track. Sheila E. also served as Prince's opening act during his legendary Purple Rain tour in 1984 and 1985. She is allegedly claiming that Prince was trying to protect the world from something, and that he carried a burden we weren't prepared to comprehend. Sheila E. then joined Prince's record label, Paisley Park Records, soon after the Purple Rain tour. Sheila E. also worked as the musical director for Prince's Love Sexy and Sign of the Times tours. Throughout the 1980s, she also contributed to a number of Prince songs and albums. She also had an appearance in Sign of the Times, his concert video. She toured with Prince in the middle of 2007 and performed with him at the Brit Awards. But this is where things start to get very interesting. In addition to working together on some of the most well-known songs from the 1980s and 1990s, Sheila E. and Prince had a much more personal relationship, which fans still talk about today. In fact, at one point during a live performance, Prince looked her in the eyes and mouthed the two words that would change her life. "Marry me." By the way, it wasn't staged or organized. It was spontaneous and pure. They reportedly even had a brief engagement after that, but they never got married.
In a relationship with Prince, he even proposed to you. How did he do it?
It was during the Sign of the Times tour, and there are many songs that were like really emotional to me when we played, and Purple Rain was one of them. So playing that song and playing drums, I just love playing that song. And next thing I know, he's taking his solo, and as I opened my eyes, he was turning at the same time that I opened my eyes, and he's taking his solo, and he turns to me and he said, "Will you marry me?"
According to rumors, Sheila E. and Prince had not talked for almost 5 years before his death in 2016. This reported arrangement resulted from Sheila E.'s autobiography, The Beat of My Own Drum, which contained information about their relationship. However, what if I told you that's not the case? According to reliable sources, they really got back in touch at the end of Prince's life, and Prince reportedly shared disturbing information about Diddy and the business with Sheila E. Supposedly now, here's the deal. We are aware that Prince often cautioned against the industry's use of strong imagery. Artists were silenced and owned by those in charge of narratives. You all know how fervent Prince was about musicians receiving fair compensation and having authority over their
1999. My publishing contract with Warner Chappell expired, thus emancipating the name I was given before birth, Prince. from all long-term restrictive documents.
I had searched deep within my heart and spirit, and I wanted to make a change and move to a new plateau in my life. And one of the ways in which I did that was to change my name. It sort of divorced me from the past and all the hang-ups that go along with it, as it's been well chronicled in deep dispute with my record label.
Which is Warner Brothers, right?
Yeah. We had some issues that were basically about ownership of the music and how often I was supposed to record and things like that. I really searched deep within to find out the answer to whether fame was most important to me or my spiritual well-being, and I chose the latter.
The issue is that Prince was signed to Warner Music in 1977 at the age of 18, and his 1978 to 1981 album did not perform well. He was retained by the label because, at the time, Warner seemed to be a business that made long-term investments in significant talent. Prince recorded more songs in 1982, a year after MTV debuted, and he had his first appearance in the US Top 10. He also joined a new generation of musicians who recognized the value of music videos as a means of promoting artists and creating their own mythology and iconography. Prince eventually established his own label, Paisley Park Records, which was partially financed by Warner, and managed its distribution after essentially making his mark on the business. However, at this point, he had already begun to reveal how his label was exploiting and shortchanging him.
It's your game, you didn't make the rules, so everything comes hard. And as long as you're signed to a contract, you're going to take a minority share of the winnings. A select few of us will do well, the majority will not. So as a people, we'll be considered a minority. But stop, let's take a moment and look at yourselves. There's nothing minor about you. You are a blessed people. You're the most talented on earth, and you are still grateful. That is why upon winning in their game, you always thank God. Tonight I would like to ask one favor of you. Imagine what we'll all be like in our own game. Peace and love for one another.
Indeed, we are referring to the same Warner Brothers who provided Diddy with financing. He even had an agreement with the label that offered them a 50% share in his Bad Boy Records business. Warner will promote and manage the physical and digital distribution of Bad Boy's catalog releases globally as part of the agreement. Mase was one of the artists on the label's roster. Mario Wynn's renowned B.I. and P. Diddy even remarked, "There have been a lot of boutique record labels that come and go, and we are still here," in reference to the agreement. This is guarantee that we will have the necessary financial resources, financial structure, and partners to continue to be a major force in the music business for the ensuing years. Additionally, you may be surprised to learn that Diddy treated artists at Bad Boy Records in the same manner that Warner treated Prince and other artists. Consider Lil Jerome as an example. Jerome responded, "Well, it's just a mixture of the growing pains and the pressure of the music business," when asked whether he made the decision to quit the company. "It was best for Puppy that I not continue with the endeavor, since I suffered a nervous breakdown." In summary, he didn't choose to remove the label. Rather, it was more a product of the situation. Lil Jerome claims that prior to his little breakdown, he really had about 13 songs ready for an album release. And guess what? Diddy simply threw him out without showing any concern. Carl Thomas, for example, claimed that he left Bad Boy Records because Diddy called him a week after his brother's death to ask when he was coming back to the studio because he had some hits for him. It seems that he didn't even take into account the fact that his artist was still grieving for his brother's passing. Biggie then appeared, who, according to Diddy's former bodyguard Gene Deal, intended to go from Bad Boy Records in search of a better offer elsewhere. In fact, Diddy allegedly put pressure on Bad Boy staff members to concentrate on marketing and album sales for Biggie's release in the wake of his passing. After death, life continues. Like he was so focused on the record reaching #1 that he wasn't really mourning, and he was just interested in the album's success. Diddy's abrupt decision to grant publication rights to musicians signed to Bad Boy, including previous artists, made him popular long before he was the target of the first lawsuit. Aubrey O'Day expressed her worries at the moment of regaining her publication rights. She said that months before, she had received the agreement's specifics. Similar requests to reclaim their music rights were made to other Bad Boy artists at the same time. However, there was a catch.
We only get the amounts due since Sony bought our catalog.
Okay.
So streaming for the past couple years, it's about $800, $900, some in the hundreds, okay? And in order to get that, I have to release him for any claims or wrongdoings or actions prior to the date of the release. I have to sign an NDA that I will never disparage Puff, Bad Boy, Janice Combs, or Justin Combs' music or EMI or Sony ever in public.
In essence, Diddy's desire to return publication rights was merely another tactic to exert control, manipulate, and muzzle his musicians. According to reports, Prince was monitoring for a long time before the public noticed. And if he told Sheila E even a small portion of what he knew, it would explain why she is only now beginning to talk. Because Prince may be catching up with the individuals he warned about in the narrative, he died with Prince. According to some sources, he saw this industry for what it was long ago, and warned about the way the system eats people up and spits them out, the exploitation of artists, and the theft of creative ownership. And he called it modern-day slavery. He also called out labels for stealing legacies and wanted to name names. Sheila E has reportedly been speaking about Prince in a somber and respectful manner in recent years. But now that he has been dead for over 10 years, she is reportedly beginning to reveal more nuanced and fascinating details. Sources close to Sheila E have intimated throughout the years that Prince spoke to her about his troubles and what he saw was coming for the music industry. He wasn't only fighting for his own masters. She has stated that Prince bore a great load that he rarely discussed. With recent events rocking the music industry, especially the growing controversy surrounding Diddy's ongoing legal troubles, some are starting to connect the dots. It's even more concerning that Prince knew a few days before his death that it was the end of the road for him. And he even posted a picture of himself that contained a since-deleted message. He was trying to shed light on the entire machine and warned that some of the biggest names in the industry were playing God with artists' lives and livelihoods. Just when you believed you were secure indeed, only days before his death, and shortly after his claimed treatment, Prince reportedly advised guests at a gathering at Paisley Park during his last appearance. Wait a few days before you waste any prayers. Prince passed away at the age of 57 after being discovered unconscious at his Minnesota residence, exactly as he had prophesied. Prince passed away from an accidental fentanyl overdose at that time, according to health experts, after inadvertently ingesting fake Vicodin that was loaded with a very strong synthetic opioid. However, even Sheila E stated that it was never logical.
Reports that say that the landing last week was a treatment for some sort of drug overdose, whether prescription or illicit. Did you ever have any signs of drug use? Did you ever see any signs of drug use with him lately that would end up in something like this?
No.
Therefore, we once again ask, was Prince's passing simply another terrible conclusion to a wonderful life? Or was it anything more? Is Sheila E now prepared to reveal the truth? How far down the rabbit hole does Diddy go? Please share your ideas in the comment section below. Are we making connections between unrelated things? Or is there anything genuine concealed in plain sight?